We try to use walking, cycling, and public transit whenever possible, but sometimes you need a car, and that's okay. Before you grab your car keys, here are tips for using cars in ways that are efficient, affordable, and still follow the spirit of Week Without Driving. Imagine this. You have a doctor's appointment across town at 4 p.m. Taking public transit might take 45 minutes, which is too long during your workday. You can't reschedule or move the appointment, so what do? Here's what I've done before. I take a Lyft to the appointment, then use public transit to go home. If I had driven a car going there, then I'd be stuck driving home in rush hour traffic. By using rideshare for only part of the trip, I pay about half the cost of buying a round trip. I avoid extra charges of rideshare during rush hour. I save money by taking the express bus on the tollway for no extra costs. And I can save time by riding the rail and skipping traffic altogether. Now imagine this scenario. You live near the Silver Line station in Plano, and you're invited to speak at a community event in Coppell, a suburb with no public transit at all. What can you do? Here's what I've done in a similar situation. I took the rail to the nearest start station, then ordered a Lyft for those last few miles between the station and the public library. At the event, I chatted with a few people and got to know some attendees. Afterward, I asked someone for a short ride back to the rail station. This method works well when you don't know many people until you're at the event. It's cheaper than paying for a full round trip by Lyft. Asking for a quick ride to a nearby transit stop is a lot easier than asking for a long detour to the front door of your home. Plus, asking for a small, easy favor like this is a nice way to build connections with new people. Side note, today hitchhiking is often seen as unsafe, but it used to be a common part of American culture. Check out the video linked in the description to learn more about it.
If you're riding alone, you're riding with Hitler. And nobody wants to ride with Hitler.
Here's a true story that I heard a couple years ago from a food service worker at a restaurant in Trinity Groves, West Dallas. I met a guy who didn't have a driver's license, and his daily commute started in the Lake Highlands neighborhood of East Dallas. First, he would take a GO Link to White Rock Station. Then, he'd ride the Blue Line downtown. Finally, he'd catch a bus to Trinity Groves. Now, if you don't know what GO Link is, it's a door-to-door public transit service that works like Uber or Lyft. We'll talk more about the details of GO Link in the next lesson. Anyways, at that time, DART had only recently started offering GO Link. So I was curious and asked him how well it was working for him in his daily commute. To my surprise, he said it failed him 1 out of 5 times. Even more surprising, he still liked the service and planned to keep using it. He explained that before GO Link, he spent $600 a month on Uber rides twice a day. After GO Link, he only used Uber for those times when GO Link's timing would not get him to the train station on time. So what some might see as a 20% failure, he saw as an 80% savings compared to the hundreds that he was spending before. Rideshare services will always be a part of our transportation system. I sometimes use them to fill gaps when other options don't work, and to be completely honest, I also order a Lyft occasionally when I'm just tired and I don't feel like taking a long multi-step trip. But using Uber and Lyft too much does have its downsides. For starters, relying on rideshare for every trip becomes expensive very quickly. Second, it actually can make traffic worse, because the driver has to make an extra trip to pick you up, something that would not happen if you drove yourself directly. This means that unless the car has several passengers, a single passenger rideshare is one of the most polluting travel options. Studies show that after Uber and Lyft arrive, many cities see fewer people using public transit, yet they did not see a drop in the number of cars that people own. So in the spirit of Week Without Driving, here are my final rideshare tips. Use rideshare more as a last resort rather than your first choice. If you must use it, try not to take it for the entire round trip. Try to mix in other modes like cycling or public transit. Share an Uber or Lyft with other passengers when you can. Finally, consider setting a personal budget or a limit for ride shares each month so you can avoid using it too much. Tomorrow we'll explore some of the most overlooked transportation options in Dallas, like microtransit, paratransit, and other modes that you might not have considered before.